Welcome to the Hidden Homestead. My name's David, and I'm going to duplicate this thing using concrete because if you've been around the channel for a while, you know I like concrete. So as fun as it is to watch me clean up this mess and pull the rubber compound from the wood, we do have to talk about the process itself. Now, I only showed 2 applications of this stuff, and in all actuality, I honestly don't remember how many coats of this I ended up putting on. I was probably closer to 7, 8, maybe 9 coats. Now, the directions call for 3 to 4 coats to build out to 3/8 inch. I got the 3/8 inch, but it took me a lot longer to get there for 2 reasons. One, I used Rebound 25 from Smooth On, and it is a bit runny, so it did tend to run down. That wasn't the biggest issue. The biggest issue was there was a lot of deeper voids, I guess, from where, like in his main, like the deeper cuts, that I was trying to get those filled and then build up from there so that the higher ridges, if you will, had about 3/8 inch on top of it. So I did do a lot more thinner coats to fill those area up. Now, if I was to do this again, I would probably use their Rebound 40. From my understanding, that is a bit thicker and it doesn't run quite as much, and you're able to kind of almost stick it in place and it doesn't just run away. So if I was to do this again, I'd probably use that Rebound 40. Now, they also make another product that you can mix to the Rebound 25 that will thicken it, and then a different product that will actually thin it. So I guess it kind of depends on what your application is. Again, if I was to do this again, I would probably just do, like, get the sample portion of the Rebound 25 to stipple in the whole surface of everything, and that way I knew I got good contact with everything, and then switch to like that Rebound 40 and maybe finish it up with the Rebound 25. Not really sure. This is the first time I've done it, so maybe if I do it again, I'll try that Rebound 40. Now, I did use the entire gallon on this thing, and I think that was about right because, like I said, I was shooting for that 3/8 of an inch, and I'm pretty sure I got it. At least on the really high, the thinnest areas should be close to 3/8 of an inch. On some of these deeper areas up in these main, I'm probably setting close to an inch. So that's okay. It's going to be a little bit more durable. Now, the next step is to use a clay and basically build a shelf or a frame around this thing. And then we're going to apply this pasty paste. Now, this pasty paste is basically a 2-part plastic. You mix it up and it forms a hard, durable plastic, basically to hold this thing together, because if there's nothing inside of it, it's pretty flimsy. So we want to hold this flimsy portion of it together, so when we pour the concrete in it, it is stable and it's nice and hard, and it's not going to blow out everywhere. So that's going to be the next step. Speaking of the clay, there are a couple different ones that you can use. The biggest thing from what I found was that it has to be contain no sulfur, and actually on their website they do recommend a couple of them. Super Sculpey is one of them they recommend, and I actually picked this up at Hobby Lobby for 21 bucks for this. Is a little spendy, but the good thing with this stuff is, well, I shouldn't say the good thing, mainly what you're looking for is that it can't be air dryable, because you want to be able to reuse it so you can create different shelves. And like I said, it doesn't contain that sulfur. The sulfur, I guess, reacts with the rubber and the compounds, the plastic and everything. So you want to stay away from that. So I'm going to get this kind of mixed up. I guess not mixed up, but shaped. And then we'll start building that shelf so we can apply the pasty paste. And then the next step is to figure out how to cut this so I can get the thing out of here. That one's going to be challenging, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Let's get into it. Now that I got the clay on, basically I'm just going and kind of smoothing out these edges. So that way when I put the pasty paste on, it just kind of creates a nice line. Because I'll take this clay off once this portion is poured, and then basically apply the pasty paste up against on this side, and that'll give me a nice wall so that I have essentially 4 pieces for this thing, so I can disassemble it and reassemble it pretty easily as needed. Now, something, kind of a trick, I don't know if this is something people normally do, but I ended up using these pins. You can see one sticking out right here, just because it just kind of wanted to fall off this side. So I took these pins and just kind of secured it down into the rubber, and that kind of kept it from rolling until I could get it kind of stuck and smeared into, I guess, on this back side to kind of hold it. So if you're having problems getting it to stick and stay, maybe just get some pins just to kind of help hold it in place. Pro tip. I'm not a pro. I don't even know if that's something that, there's probably a better way of doing it. That's just kind of what I thought of because it's what I had on hand. And so that's what we're using. So use what you've got and make cool stuff. Well, let's see if we can get this thing stripped and demolded. It's going to be a lot of fun. No, it ain't. All right, as you can see, I did get this thing demolded, and I didn't show the entire process because admittedly, the majority of the process was me stepping back, looking at it, saying quite a few select words, and then trying again while continuing to say a few select words. I may have messed this up, I'm not really sure. Now, the problem area was, if you noticed on the original, basically there's a pass-through between the front legs and the back legs on top of a pass-through between the two front legs. So I had like full coverage on the model, and it was really tight to get in there to get it out. Well, trying to get it out, I'd made a lot of extra cuts that was unnecessary. Not that I meant to, it was just the only way to get it off. And because of that, now some of these cuts, these lines aren't lining up perfectly. So I think that's going to create an issue that, so if they're not, lined up or there's a gap, that concrete's going to get in, it's going to take the shape of this. And if you can see that, it's just not going to look that great. And so if that's the case, I'm probably going to have to redo this entire process over again, because if I redo this, I'm going to have to redo the outer structure, the cast, because it's specifically shaped to this. The only way that we're going to be able to tell is if I get it all put back together and we pour concrete in it and then demold it and see what it looks like. So I guess we'll get this thing put back together, try to get everything lined up as close as possible, mix up some concrete and see what happens. So that's what we're going to do right now. They say third time's a charm, but that's not really the case. That is definitely not the case. This one is the fifth one that I've done. So basically I had to do 5 of them to get 2 decent ones. So really I had some issues. Where I had all my issues, as I mentioned before, was this area right here in the legs. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it does have some air pockets. Obviously, I've got a couple around here, but for whatever reason, it's mainly the leg. So I had to redo that a couple of times just to get rid of those, or attempt to get rid of those. And I tried a couple different methods, and I still have a few. It's not terrible, but they're still there. That being said, it is concrete. It is going to have some air pockets. Definitely going to have to figure out a better way to do that. I even used a brush to get in here and try to stipple some of the concrete into these voids. And again, it took care of some of it, but I still have some issues. The other issue that I kept running into, and it seemed to get worse the more times I used the mold, was basically the seam. So on the mold, I cut my seam kind of right down the center of each one. And the first one was terrible, like the whole nose, it looked like it had a hair lip. So that wasn't going to work out. This was my 3rd attempt. This is a 5th attempt, and there is a little bit of a difference primarily on the back of these where you can see that seam. Again, it's not terrible. You're almost going to always see some sort of seam if you really look at it. But again, it's not too bad. There's already some imperfections because I took the mold off of a handmade. lion to begin with. So there are some imperfections. It just kind of is what it is sometimes with these handmade things. So I got these. I think they're ready to go. They're pretty decent, but I do need to seal them. I want to keep the weather off of them because they are going to be outside. So what I'm going to end up using is this Sure Clean Weather Seal. Now, this is for a natural stone, but you can use it on most masonry surfaces. They make one specifically for masonry, and I used it on one of the other ones that I messed up, and it did not soak in. For whatever reason, it wasn't compatible. I don't know if it was like the thin set that I added into it to make it a little creamier, to turn it white instead of gray. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it just didn't act very well. This stuff soaked in super good, so I'm going to use it. And basically, I'm just going to pour it in a cup and take a chip brush and saturate the whole thing. I'll end up doing 2 coats. As soon as it starts soaking in, I'll go back and do another coat. Let that cure, get rid of some puddles, all that kind of stuff, and let it cure out for a couple hours, and it should be good to go. We should be done with these. So let's get these things sealed up. All right, so here they are all sealed up and ready to take to their new home. The original one is sitting back here, and looking at both of them, I don't mind them. I think they turned out okay. Like I said, it did take me 5 tries to get these 2. Practice makes perfect, I guess, but I definitely need some more practice. Am I super stoked on how these turned out? I think not really. But also, I don't know exactly how they should turn out. My biggest concern, like I'd already mentioned, was the air pockets up here in the front. The only thing I can think of is that the surface area up here is less than any of this or something. I don't know. Just because it just seems like that's where all the air pockets just decided to go for whatever reason. All 5 of them had a higher concentration of air pockets in these legs opposed to anywhere else. Now these 2, I was able to mitigate it, but I don't know how, don't know why. If you guys know why or how I could fix this, leave it in the comments below and just kind of tell me what I could do to kind of mitigate some of those air pockets. That'd be great. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we're good. I would like to do more of these. It was fun. It was interesting. It's pretty cool to kind of take something and, make more of, I guess, duplicate. Kind of a cool little project. So hopefully you like this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you got something out of it, leave it in the comments below. If you didn't get anything out of it, you thought this video was stupid, go ahead and hit that thumbs down button. And then tell me in the comments below how I could be better at, doing molds and casting things and doing something to make me look cool, I guess. I don't know. To my Patreons, I love you guys. Thank you so much. You guys support the channel tremendously. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. And I think that's it. Like, share, subscribe. Don't know if I said that before. Yeah. Peace out. Talk to you guys later. Bye.